Another day, another attempt at deplatforming anybody who dare have a unique thought or a heterodox opinion. This story from the Post-Millennial. Progressive professors want a blacklist of Quillette writers. Now, this is from a few days, this is from like a week ago, but I am a big fan of Quillette. I'm a big fan of Claire Lehman, I think, how do you pronounce her name properly, who I believe founded it. And I think they do a great job of highlighting heterodox opinion. Basically, challenging orthodoxy. And for the most part, Quillette is kind of like a news and opinion column for the intellectual dark web, if you so would. So I'm a fan of what they do. I certainly have respect for left-wing outlets and right-wing outlets, as well as, Quillette and anyone who wants to challenge orthodoxy and all that stuff. And there are some outlets that are worse than others. But now, what do we have? Dr. Katya Thyme, a professor of English at the University of British Columbia, took to Twitter recently to enact her own unique brand of McCarthyism. Yes, if you are an academic and you publish in Quillette, we see you. We effing see you, and we are looking right at you. I love that. They say that. We see you. And look, she puts little eyes. Oh, how cute. Little eyes. Little, what is this? I don't want to. Little eye emojis to let us know that you can see the people writing in Quillette. One of my favorite things that the regressive, weirdo, conspiracy psychopaths say is, we see you. What are you talking about, dude? I understand what you're saying. Like they're trying to like claim they know what your real intentions are or something, or they know what you're doing and you're being put on a list. Yes, I'll tell you this. I see you too. Over there clucking and waving your end is nigh sign in the air with your beard and you're shaking. Yeah, you and the rest of the Russiagator conspiracy weirdos who think the end is near. Sorry, I'm not interested in your opinion because I think you're a wackaloon. This was in response to the following tweet by Denison University history professor who stated, "And any member of our field who publishes with Quillette should lose all credibility." Actually, I think you just lost all credibility. This is what this guy said. Billy Armagh said, "Quillette is a toxic S-hole of skull measuring and inferior fascist performance art. And the tweet you quoted is perfectly good and valid. We are effing sick of you." This is going to blow your mind. Actually, no, it won't. You're going to be like, yep, this is not surprising in the least bit. There are now people accusing Michael Tracy, left-wing journalist, of being a fascist for pointing out Russiagate was a conspiracy. It's debunked. You wasted your time. You're crazy. And so what did they say? This is brown shirt attacks against journalism. And Michael Tracy's response was like, are you seriously trying to call me a fascist for pointing out bad journalism? And they're like, yes! It's a good day. I sent a friend of mine the SpongeBob song, The Best Day Ever, because the crazy conspiracy theorists who accuse everyone else of being a conspiracy theorist are getting comeuppance. As I pointed out in an earlier video, we are in a weird timeline. Trump has been, for the most part, exonerated. We'll see what else comes out of the Mueller report, but no collusion, no obstruction, and it's Michael Avenatti in jail? Whoa. One of Thiem's followers then followed up with the astonishing suggestion that there should be a literal blacklist of academics who have written for the magazine. It would be nice to have a list of Canadian academics who have published in that SRAG. Oh, because nothing says academia better than silence any opposing information. Let me tell you something. Did you know that there is a bit of history in the scientific community of a man who challenged orthodoxy and was jailed for it? His name? Galileo. I actually don't know the full history behind it, but that's like the general story, right? He dared challenge the idea of a geocentric universe. That means universe revolving around the Earth, and he said, no, it's a heliocentric universe. We revolve around the sun. And they said, that's interesting. And then screamed heretic and locked him up. Now, again, I don't know the full story, but that's typically how people repeat it. I'm not a historian. I don't know. The point is, it is very, very important. It is paramount, I dare say, that heterodox opinion be allowed to be heard. Because whenever we have, not whenever, but there's been so many different scientific breakthroughs that were rejected by the scientific community. I'm not a physicist. I could be wrong because I read a book about this like 10 years ago. But before the Big Bang Theory, there was something called solid state theory that stated the universe always was, and always will be, essentially that it was a solid state. And when people came to challenge this with the theory of the Big Bang, it was they're like, no, it's not true. And it was actually through research and pushing these heterodox opinions, things changed. I could be wrong on that, so if you're a physicist, you can correct me on the history, but I read that in a book like a long time ago. And that's the point. Anybody who wants to blacklist someone and silence someone who's challenging your opinion is not an academic. They're a zealot. Might as well be a religious fanatic. Scientists, actual academics, understand that they can be wrong and that our understanding of the world, culture, society, information, it changes. That's what makes science work. Sometimes we think this is true, and then we gain more knowledge and figure out actually it wasn't, or it was much more complicated than we realized. We then see certain forces become actually one force. And again, I could be wrong because I read this in the book, but there was like, I'm totally butchering this, but there was at one point like we thought there were 4 fundamental forces, and now we think that there's actually like 3 fundamental forces. Anyway, the point is things change. You know, we have a bunch of different theories. We had string theory becomes M theory, and things evolve, which means you have to allow people to challenge your ideas, and you have to allow offensive opinions to exist. If you don't, you are not and should not be in academia. No, you shouldn't. Using social pressure to stigmatize is a hallmark of witch hunts throughout history, and this tactic hides in plain sight on social media. But one wonders what the point is of declaring a publication dedicated to free speech and open discourse off limits. It appears that this mob is fearful of what could be gained by engaging in an honest exploration of ideas. What's frightening about the ease with which these comments are made is that I highly doubt any of these educators actually have actually read Quillette. Yes. It has become fashionable to spout nonsense, such as Quillette is racist or Quillette is white supremacist. When asked to provide evidence, accusers often claim that they do not have to provide evidence, or they just never respond because they're insane. Someone said, Quillette fully supports race science, and many of its articles are so congenial to white supremacy they are reprinted in American Renaissance. Get a clue? That doesn't sound right to me. I'd also like to point out that Vox once wrote an article claiming that materialism was inherent to Jewish genetics. Vox.com. Okay, you want to rag on Quillette. Simon Chen, MD, said, what is racist about science and scientific investigation? Please name the articles you are referring to in Quillette and the scientific references you believe are racist. Thank you. There were no responses to these questions. The refusal to provide evidence for accusations is striking considering the number of likes and retweets these dehumanizing statements get on Twitter. So what's happening here? Let's explore. In the article, The Two-Step Flow of Communication, Elihu Katz asks, when it comes to the actions and behaviors of individuals and communities, who is more influential, opinion leaders or the media? To set up his investigation, he first asked the question, what is an opinion leader? Opinion leaders, to Katz, express values, have a level of professional expertise in some subject, although it may not be the one they are attempting to influence networks on, and they have large social networks. For Katz, these opinion leaders are often driven by 2 things, increasing their status in the eyes of others and social acceptance. These opinion leaders are seen as familiar to their networks and are therefore trusted in a way that regular media interlocutors are not. Applying Katz's theory to opinion leaders on Twitter, we can see that the theory holds. One need only look at the numbers of likes or retweets that opinion leaders like Matthew Sears and aspiring opinion leaders like Katya Thiem receive on Twitter. In a Washington Post article claiming MAGA hats will eventually be the moral equivalent of the KKK robes, Sears spends 95% of his article not even discussing MAGA hats. He espouses on ancient Greek history, a subject he is actually knowledgeable in. Interesting. He said, individuals should be forced to confront the totally predictable and natural results of their individual voting choices. Don't blame me, I voted for Kodos. Sears was surely not thinking of Obama's drone strikes when he made the assertion, one cannot make such a claim about a system of governance and then just change one's mind about its authoritarian methods of ruling when a different political leader comes into office. Yeah, that's a pretty important, guiding moral force for me. I don't like any of the presidents. I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat. Not at all. I don't like people who would trample over freedom, which is typically why I don't like any president at all. I mean, the only presidents I actually remember are Bush, Obama, and I was alive during Clinton, but I don't know what the hell was going on. Sears also makes the assertion that the Covington boys were allowed, if not encouraged, to wear these hats at a March for Life rally, and that this serves as a deliberate provocation. First, they should be allowed to wear them, and he has no idea if they were encouraged to do so. That was a strange addition on his part. Well, the story's starting to get into a bunch of stuff that I don't think is necessarily important to the main point being brought up, and the thing which I'd like to finish on. They do bring up the idea of the opinion leaders, of which I think it's fair to point out I probably fall in that category too. Whatever. I have absolutely no desire for social acceptance or gaining status at all. I don't. I will add, it definitely feels good when you have your opinions confirmed, or people retweeting and sharing things around, and it feels bad when people tell you you're stupid. But I've never done anything with any real goal in mind for personal gain, and I've always told people that just do what you're passionate about and, try and figure out what works. I talk about things I care about. That's really it. So why yesterday I made a video about UFOs. It's not always political. I care about politics. And I got to admit, I said this on the Rubin Report. Sometimes I'm just waiting for that deplatforming so I can just stop. Because, the only reason I do this is because I want to talk about these ideas. I've talked about them since I've started doing this. I didn't start with followers, and I will point out, when it comes to people who make a living doing certain things, not Twitter. I think Twitter is terrible. Most people do something because they're passionate about it. Okay, why do I make videos and why have I done this kind of work for years? Because it's just something I feel driven to do. That's it. I don't care if anyone accepts it or not. I got attacked physically by activists at Occupy Wall Street. Didn't care what they had to say. And then the left got mad saying I turned on them. No, I've always ragged on Antifa. Sorry. I don't care who supports me or whatever. I appreciate the support. But I'm gonna do what I feel like doing. And who knows? Maybe I fully predict that, it comes and goes in waves. I started doing this stuff. All the occupiers were cheering for me. Now a lot of them, not all of them, because a lot of them became Trump supporters. They hate me. And there are a lot of people on the right who like me, but just wait. I've gotten videos with thumbs down before, people saying I'm wrong. Because there was one video where I said Tucker Carlson is wrong, diversity is a strength. And I argued with Tucker because I felt like it. And people didn't like it. People like to claim that I do this for status. In reality, I don't. I just talk about my opinions. It's basically like me talking about my feelings. It's like a therapy session. And for some reason, people like watching it. No idea why. But I'll end by saying this. I truly believe that a lot of these people don't actually know or care what they're talking about. They're just nasty people. I don't understand why they want to hurt other people so much. It's so weird. Like, why do you want to hurt other people? I just don't understand that. That's what they're doing. How dare you have an opinion? Oh, I don't care. I know a lot of people with really awful opinions. Left, right, up, down, whatever. I know religious people who I think are crazy. I know conspiracy theorists. But you know what? You got to live and let live, right? We believe in freedom. We recognize and empathize. But I'll say one thing. These people, the McCarthyist types, no empathy. I'll leave it there. Thanks for hanging out. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 10 a.m. on this channel. Have a good one.